So again, good afternoon and good morning wherever you may be. My name is Sylvia Staples, and I am the Resource Assistance Program Manager for the Washington office, physically located in Atlanta, Georgia. Been with the agency for 10 years now, and I'm excited to be in this position to manage this program. And I would like to turn it over to Vanessa Reyes so she can introduce herself.
Thanks, Sylvia. Hi, I'm Lady Vanessa Reyes. Pronouns are she and her. I'm program specialist for the Resource Assistance Program. I basically assist Sylvia with onboarding, orientation, and RA engagement at the Washington office.
Thank you, Vanessa. So today we're going to give you a very in-depth presentation on the Resource Assistance Program. We're going to talk a little bit about what the program is, how it was started, talk a little bit about the numbers. People love numbers. We're going to share some data with you guys about the engagement, about the hiring, and then we're going to transition and talk about how to request an RA, how to engage an RA, and then how to hire an RA. So I hope you guys are ready for this in-depth presentation. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, just going to do a quick screen check. Vanessa, are you
Yep.
able to see? Okay, perfect. All right, so again, welcome to the Resource System Program presentation. The Resource System Program has since transitioned to the leadership of the National Partnership Office led by Barry Garrett, I'm so sorry, Gary Barrett, who's our director. And we are also under the Workforce Development Partnership Service Hub under the leadership of Marlene Mazik. The Workforce Development Partnership Hub is a very new hub in the agency, and we will have another presentation in the coming months about the WD program. And if you would like the recording for the one that we have already done a couple months ago, we'll drop that link into the chat so that you're able to learn more about the WDP Service Hub. So the Resource Assistance Program was established in the Forest Service back in 2016. This program is a rigorous and immersive paid experience that was designed for those that may have an interest in conservation, natural and cultural resources, environmental management, research and development, and any other career fields. Route prioritizes the engagement of current students, recent graduates, especially those from minority serving institutions and underrepresented populations. So those coming from your 1890s, which is going to be your land grant universities, your HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, your HSIs, Hispanic serving institutions, your tribal colleges. So all of those colleges that are minority serving institutions. To date, the Forest Service has successfully engaged over 1,100 resource assistants who have made very significant contributions to the central work that we do in the agency and the projects that we have. The Forest Service's Equity Action Plan, item number 3, which is achieving a representative, inclusive, and thriving workforce. A workforce development is central to our ability to develop a more diverse future workforce and improve hiring outcomes, all while also getting critical work done. So the objectives of the Resource Assistance Program is for us to attract and retain a diverse and inclusive workforce. So remember, and the one thing that I want you guys to continue to remember, and I will continue to say it throughout the presentation, is that this is a developmental program. It's a program that we established to, again, help us to build workforce capacity, but also to remove the barriers of success for minorities. And this program is not to be confused with any of our other hiring initiatives with the simple goal of building capacity and getting work done. But it truly is a developmental program which allows us to tap into those that are fresh out of college, that are excited about their future and ready to be a sponge and soak up, all of the information, all the knowledge, get all that mentorship and developmental experience with some of our seasoned professionals in the agency. And you have to remember that these participants are pretty green and they really need champions that are ready to develop them professionally and pass on that knowledge. The benefits of this program, We're going to talk a little bit about the benefits for the resource assistants as well as for the agency. So again, we really target those emerging professionals and recent graduates, candidates that are seeking a career change, or candidates who also represent, again, underpopulated or underrepresented populations. We provide a stipend, which ranges from $500 to $750 a week. And the majority of our RAs have a bachelor's degree, so that stipend range can fluctuate just depending on the level of the education, maybe even some of their specialized experience that they might have, and so that kind of fluctuates that cost as well as is what the unit requests when they request an RA. So again, that can be from $500 to $750 a week. They also receive $1,000 of a housing allowance, and this is provided to all RAs regardless of if they are in person or working virtually. In addition to that, they can opt into healthcare or opt out if they have healthcare outside of the program. They all receive paid time off in addition to the holidays that we receive off, as well as any early releases. So when it comes to paid time off, for a 8-month RA, as an example, they have 7 days of paid time off. And those that are working 12 months, they have about 80 days of paid time. 80 hours, which is 10 days of paid time off. Training and travel allowance. They each receive $2,750 of training travel funds. These funds can be used for anything professional development. So if they would like to go to a conference or a workshop or some type of training, the funds can be used for their lodging expenses, any of those logistical costs, flight, gas reimbursement, the registration costs, anything like that. In this program, we do try to provide the RAs at least a minimum of a GS5 level of experience. Of course, some RAs are provided experiences at the GS7, 9, even 11 level, but at minimum, we try to give them the GS5 level of experience. So talk a little bit about the eligibility for the program. Doesn't really take a whole lot to be eligible for the program other than we engage current students or recent graduates. And just to talk a little bit more about that, the current students, we really put preferences on recent graduates. And if we do accept a current student, we really prefer for them to be kind of in their last semester or at least their last year of school, because it does present a challenge when they are expected to, be fully engaged in their RA program, but also have to juggle their school load as well. So again, we really try to put preferences on recent grad. When it comes to the recent grad, it's not the same as our Pathways program 2-year eligibility. A lot of our partners will go out at least 5 years of a person being recently graduated from their program. In addition to that, they must be a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, because again, the end goal is to hire them at the end of the program. To successfully complete the program, one must complete a minimum of 960 hours, which is roughly about 6.5 months. And then once they complete those hours, as long as they already have obtained a degree, and as you can see, it can be a minimum of an associate's degree, then they are able to be awarded their certificate. That certificate will give them 2 special hiring authorities. The 2 hiring authorities that they will receive with the certificate, one is going to be the non-competitive hiring eligibility, which means that they kind of get that merit internal status and they can apply through USA Jobs for any positions that are posted for special authorities. The second authority that they receive is the DHA, the direct hire authority, which is what I call the Willy Wonka golden ticket, because it is their gateway into the agency to be directly appointed to a position. They can be appointed into a temp, term, or permanent position with this certificate, and they can use it more than once as long as it's good within the 2 years that it's good for. So again, the certificate that are going to be issued has 2 authorities, and it is good for 2 years, and it can be used multiple times. So talk a little bit about RAP 2.0. If you are just now learning about RAP, then RAP 2.0 is all you would know. But before RAP 2.0, we were managing agreements at the forest level, at the district level, And so in 2020, we decided to standardize the engagement of the resource assistants by introducing RAP 2.0, the cohort model. So with this cohort model, we bring in the RAs in 2 cohorts per year. We have a cohort that we call our winter cohort that typically starts in January, February months, that allows us to target those December graduates, as well as the second cohort started in the month of June, which allows us to tap into those May graduates. The RAs can apply for either an 8 or a 12-month term of a position. It can go beyond that, just depending on if the unit has funding, if the RA needs additional experience. And so it's kind of a case by case scenario if they will go beyond the 8 or the 12 months. But remember, I said they only need 960 hours to satisfy the program and receive their certificate. So we really built in the 8 and 12 months to give them enough time to either one, continue to get more experience so they can qualify for the position, or two, the additional months that they need to go through the hiring process. Because once someone is awarded their certificate and we start the hiring process, it can typically take about 2 months to get through that hiring process. So we've already built in that time so that they can be an RA and then do not have to, go in an unemployment status before they start in their permanent position. The cohort model has allowed us to, really streamline these agreements, increase our outreach and recruitment, and really work closely with the partners and each other to really focus our recruitment on a diverse and quality group of applicants, as well as the onboarding, which is administered by the Washington office. Our staff takes care of all of the onboarding, as well as the orientation in collaboration with one of our national partners. And the cohort model also just promotes that peer-to-peer support, because as they come in as a group, they have each other to start this new journey with, to share experiences, to share, trainings and all of that stuff that might come up that they can share with each other, and just encourage each other to keep going to get that permanent position, which of course is the end goal. The cohort model has allowed us to improve our outcomes and accountability, and really to just create that community of practice, ensuring the RAs are ready to start work and they're going to come prepared, ready to work, and again, get that Willy Wonka golden ticket. This is a quick snapshot of the base cost of an RA. As you can see, as I told you, they do receive the living stipend. They will receive the housing stipend and the living stipend, which can fluctuate from the $500 to the $750 a week. We also have the training and travel. We have your commuter allowance, recruitment, and some of the other benefits. But again, this is just a quick snapshot of the base cost. And again, this can change just depending on if they're 8 months or 12 months, working in person, virtually, et cetera, et cetera. This snapshot is a quick picture of our partners. We have 10 partners, 5 national partners, going to be the Environment for the Americas, Mobilize Green, Hispanic Access Foundation, Manners, which stands for Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences, Green and Youth Foundation. Following along with our regional partners, which a lot of our regions, or some of our regions more so in the West Coast, have those regional agreements with NSET, which is the Alaska Native Science and Engineering Program, the Conservation Legacy, Great Basin Institute, the Montana Conservation Corps, and the Northwest Youth Corps. So talking a little bit about the roles and responsibilities, so one will know exactly, how we really manage this program and what it really takes. It really and truly takes all of us to play our part and do our role in order to see the success of the program and provide that program delivery. So when it comes to the Washington office, we manage and administer all of the RAP agreements at the national level. We take care of all of the onboarding, which means that we order the computers, we request the profiles, and just make sure, again, that they are ready to start work once they get to the unit. We also organize and manage the orientation. All RAs are required to attend a 1-week orientation, and we do that in collaboration with the Green and Youth Foundation, as well as the reporting and the policy. And so that's the role kind of the Washington office. The RO, the RSA liaisons, or RAP liaisons, as I like to call them, they are responsible for playing that middleman role between the Washington office and the region, stations, and areas, as well as sometimes the partner, as well as the RA themselves. So they really help us to kind of review and approve those RA proposals from the local units, help to coordinate some of the funding when we're adding the funding to the agreements, helping build out that network for the RAs. They issue the certificate program for the RAs, and again, just ensuring that there is full compliance. For the partners are responsible for the outreach and recruitment. Although we too assist the partners with the outreach and recruitment, they are responsible for the outreach and recruitment mostly, and they manage the benefits. So administering those benefits that I talked about, with the housing allowance and the stipend and the train and travel, all of that is administered by the partner, and they also fulfill, of course, other administrative and reporting requirements. The host unit and mentor, one of the very important roles is that they provide that direct work for the RA. So really supporting the RA developmental, complying with the program's intent, and confirming a successful completion of the program with the partner. So really being that person that's working with the RA in day-to-day activities and responsibilities, and making sure that they help to develop them, sometimes personally, but definitely professionally. And then, of course, the RA, it's their responsibility to develop the expertise, pursue their career development, and to perform essential forest service work. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the data, looking at the numbers of the program. And I would also like to remind you guys that this is going to be Q3 reporting numbers. Partners are now sending in their end of year numbers, and so we have to consolidate them. So the numbers that I'll share for participation will be Q3 numbers. So as you can see, the region that has engaged the most RAs is going to be Region 5 with approximately about 262 RAs, followed by Region 8 with 199, and Region 9 with 128. Oh, sorry, Region 3 with 131. So you can kind of see where most of the engagement is. But what I will say is that Region 1 and Region 2 and some of our other regions are definitely investing more and really stepping it up, and we are seeing their numbers increase with our future cohort. This slide shows the partners engagement. As you can see, our longest standing partner, or one of our longest standing partners, is going to be Mobilize Green, and the other one is going to be Green Youth Foundation. So you can see why they have engaged the majority of the RAs, with Mobilize Green coming in at 446 RAs that they have engaged, and Green Youth Foundation with 264. Some of our most recent and newest partners is going to be Environment for the Americas, as well as Manners. They are our newest partners, but they are coming in strong, and we're excited to increase their engagement. We're excited for the future collaboration with them. When it comes to the gender, all time, we have 710 females that have reported, as well as 398 males and 5 non-binary. The other thing that I would like to say is that this data that we are sharing is reported from the RAs to the partners and then to us. So this is all self-reporting. This slide here shows the ethnicity with the Hispanic, those that have reported Hispanic at 303, and 792 have reported not Hispanic. When it comes to race all time, as you can see, we have 55% that have reported to be white or Caucasian, which is about 516 RAs, followed by Black, African American, as well as those that prefer not to answer. So when it comes to Black or African American, we have 145 that have been engaged, followed by American Indian, Alaskan Native at 53, and Asians at 52. So we're excited about the increase of our numbers of our demographic. Looking at the focus areas, the types of positions that we have engaged in, keep in mind that we have engaged several types of resource areas within the agency, and this slide kind of shows that We kind of had to put them in certain categories. So all the positions that we have engaged will not show here. But as you can see, most positions or most RA positions have been within the natural resources recreation area, followed by lands and special uses, community outreach partnership, those types of positions, public affairs, communication. And we're starting to see an uptick in some of the other areas, especially research with our upcoming cohort that's going to start in February. The average age of the RA is going to be 29 and the range is 20 to 64. There is no age limit or requirement for the RA program when it comes to the maximum age. This slide here is going to be my last slide of data that I'm going to share, and it's our PLC and RAP hiring data. So those that have successfully completed either the PLC program or the resource assistant program and have been successfully converted into a position in the agency. So as you can see, back in 2018, going into 2019, that's when you're going to start to see the yellow numbers and start to uptick. And that's because that's when we started using the direct hire authority. Before then, resources program only could provide the non-competitive, hiring authority. Back in 2018, as part of the Farm Bill, is when we were awarded the direct hire authority, and that is when things kind of shifted for the RAP hiring. And so in 2019, we had our first RAP DHA hire, Buni Champa, who was hired in Region 8. And since then, as you can see, our number has steadily increased. Some of the challenges that came with the hiring early on is just lack of knowledge of the program, of the authorities, and we really didn't have a standard process in place of how to successfully convert a person because we didn't have a e-tracker action for the RAP DHA at the time. So it really wasn't we didn't have a standard process, and there was really no strategy in recruiting candidates that would be eligible. So since then, we have tried to be very strategic with this program and making sure that as we recruit candidates, we really recruit those that's going to have that degree that's going to qualify them for that position at the end, because they still must meet the OPM requirements, even though they can be directly appointed. So being very strategic with recruitment, as well as, like I said, we received the DHA in 2018, the e-tracker enhancement, which we later on received as well. So now we do have our own DHA action in the e-tracker. Following that, just doing more information sharing. So we started doing a lot of webinars for the resource assistants, just helping them with their resumes, helping them to understand how to be hired, how to network themselves, really capitalizing on their experiences, doing webinars for the hiring managers and walking them through how to actually hire an RA. As long as with the partners, our partners only know what they know. And so it's up to us to educate them about our positions, about the agency, about the things that we do and how we can work together successfully. So with all of those things, we have we have been able to increase our hires. So as you can see, ending FY22, we ended it with 101 RAP DHA hires, and we are so happy about that. So now we're going to shift gears and talk about how to request an RA. And then we're going to go into how to engage an RA and then how to hire an RA. So this is a snapshot of the last intake form that we did for the upcoming cohort that's going to start February the 6th. So again, twice a year, we put out a request for those that may want to engage an RA. And we really rely on our RSA liaisons, which is going to be a volunteer services coordinator for your region, to help us to, get this information out to the units and help to facilitate this entire process. So as you guys learn more about RAP and you think about your engagement RAP or your future engagement RAP, we really want you to make sure that RAP is a good fit. Although it is an amazing program and allows us to really tap into these underrepresented communities and, eliminate these barriers and hire them into the agency, we want to make sure that that is your goal as well. So is RAP a good fit? Are you in your unit committed to the program intent and the emphasis on development, diversity, equity, and inclusion? That's something that you should talk about with your leadership, with your staff, to make sure that you are committed to that. Then yes, RAP could be for you. Do you have an approved vacant position, or do you have your region, station, area leadership commitment for placement? Again, the end goal is to place these participants when they're done. So if you don't have a position already identified that you're training and developing them for, then we hope that you will help them and network to find that position at the end of the program. The next part that we want you guys to consider is your funding. The funding for this program. Remember that you must use program dollars or the appropriated funds. We cannot use S&E dollars to support the resource assistance. As well as I know a lot of people are, a lot of units are receiving the bill funds, but I do want to also emphasize that we have limited opportunities for you guys to use the bill funds just because it requires us to administer more agreements, and there are just special considerations that we right now don't have the capacity for with our program. So again, it's best to use those program dollars. And then the last funding that I want to address is the reimbursement funds. It's really hard for us to track those with the agreements expiring and changing, and we're modifying these agreements and spending the funds down. It's really hard for us to keep track of your expiration dates on your funds too. So we really prefer not to receive those reimbursement funds as well. The next thing I want to go over is the professional series equivalency of a position. We used to intake all types of positions, but now we want to be very strategic, and we really want to focus on professional series positions. So we ask that you reconsider your request if you are in need of a tech, a engineering tech, a forestry tech, rec tech. Then we really want you to look into the other programs such as PLC, and we want you to use RAP for your professional series positions because, again, they must have a degree for this program. So we really want to be really strategic in making sure that we're bringing them in to go into middle management type positions, the GS 5, 7, 9, 11, and even GS 12 positions. And that's what we would like to recruit for and fill those entry level positions. And when you submit your request, you must submit an individual request per RA that you are looking for. So if you look for 5 RAs, you must submit this form 5 different times. This is a quick snapshot of the winter 2023 cohort timeline. If you are already a part of this, then you have seen this before, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys kind of what goes into the timeline. When we send out the request and you guys submit your request, we go through that approval process. We compile all the requests and we share them with the RSA liaison for validation and approval. And what that means is we want to make sure that one, that it is a professional series position, that your funding is secured and approved, and it is the funding that we accept. We want to make sure that you are in support of the intent of the program. So our RSA liaisons really help us to kind of navigate those things and make sure that you and your unit is a good fit for the RAP program. And then it goes through the final WO approval, and then positions are assigned to our partners. So those 10 partners that I shared with you earlier, we really focused on the 5 national partners with the agreements that we manage at the Washington office. So once the positions are approved, we do assign them to a partner, and then the actual cost is provided to whomever is requesting the RAP position. And then you're going to share that number with your budget point of contact, who is going to help you then link those funds to our agreements. And so once we get the funds linked in the work plan, then the agreement process really starts. And so, of course, this is stuff that happens behind the scenes, but I always like to kind of explain what happens because there's kind of there's a lot of time that goes by and people aren't always sure what happens. The other thing that I like to say is that when you are thinking about engaging an RA and you're going to put these funds up, remember that we are not going to be able to de-obligate your funds, but we can reallocate them. So that means if you put your funds on the agreement, they have to be there for the life of the agreement. We can't afford to do modifications to our agreements to release your unit's funding, but we will work with you to reallocate your funds to another RA or to support an extension for an RA or whatever you would like to do. We can work with you on that. So then after the agreements phase, and that's when we get ready for recruitment and application period. During that time, we want you to start developing your PD for the partners so that we can go into recruitment and really recruit you a high quality individual. and we go through the after recruitment, we have the interview and selection period. You will and can select your own RA, as well as you are going to be the person that's responsible for the interview. So the interviews, reference checks, you're going to make your selection, and the partner is going to make that job offer. Once that individual accepts that position, then we, the Washington office, starts onboarding. So our onboarding for the winter cohort is going to start December 1st. And we're going to end this timeline with the orientation, which is going to be held February 6th through the 10th, 2023. So that's a quick run through of the timeline. And I won't go through all of these phases again, but this is a quick snapshot of the next open opportunity and what that timeline is going to look like. So we will be sending out the request today, and the portal will open today for you to start sending in and submitting your request to engage in RA. And you're going to be able to submit your request all the way up until January the 6th. That will be the official cutoff. We will not receive or accept any additional requests after January 6th. So you have enough time to talk to your leadership, check in on your funding to make sure everything is in place to get your request in by January 6th. And again, the orientation for this group is going to be June the 5th through the 9th, 2023. So at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Vanessa, who's going to talk a little bit about RAP engagement and hiring an RA.
Thanks, Sylvia. So in the next slides, we'll talk a little bit about how to engage a resource assistant throughout the different levels of those involved in the program. So Sylvia talked about the roles and responsibilities of the region station area or RSA liaisons, the Washington office, and the mentors. And I'll address this audience as the mentors, which is the term we use for supervisors. We technically cannot use the word supervisor for those who direct an RA's work because RAs are not employed by the Forest Service. So at the Washington office, Sylvia talked about onboarding. We provide support throughout that 2-month period, even before RAs begin their jobs at orientation. We oversee that whole process, getting them set up with person model, US access, background investigation, and Forest Service profile setup. We also order their laptops and link passes. And orientation itself is a full week mandatory commitment by the RAs. Throughout the pandemic, they were virtual for the past 5 cohorts since September 2020. For this next cohort in February 2023, we're planning our first time in-person orientation in Atlanta, Georgia. So for each orientation, though, we have sessions covering an overview of the Forest Service, the civil rights history of the agency, conflict management, this is who we are, financial literacy. We also have representatives from the Office of Tribal Relations, WIPO, and many more. There's even a session on mindfulness resiliency. And the partner organizations have their own orientations with their respective RAs, but we invite them as well to each orientation for a meet and greet with the whole cohort. We really make our best effort to prepare the RA for the Forest Service as well as for their position. While they're working as an RA, we do have Microsoft Teams groups. We all love Teams. With all the resource assistants in the agency, I myself manage these groups, so I'm able to engage with them on a daily basis. We have a group for all RAs, for each cohort, and for RAP alumni who have transitioned into permanent employment with the Forest Service. And each group has questions like ranging the whole gamut. And the community of like more senior RAs or alumni really helps newer RAs get their feet settled. I also answer questions and provide FAQs to the community so that RAs truly feel supported for every big and little concern they might have. And through these groups, RAs and alumni are able to share their experiences and really important information. And we also provide trainings and workshops on next steps. Sylvia schedules workshops about midway through their terms, and she covers USA jobs, federal resumes, and the hiring process, and the RAP hiring authorities. And Sylvia will mention this, but she was a recruiter before this position, and she has thoroughly been able to use that background and recruitment knowledge to help prepare RAs for that hiring conversion after the RA program. We also share outreach notices. We have assisted and continue to assist the national collective hiring teams with RA placements for all of the national collective hiring events that we as an agency conduct. So suffice it to say, we provide a lot of support from the Washington office. Next slide, Sylvia. We'll talk a little bit about the engagement of a resource assistant by the mentor, which is a key piece of the success of the program. Mentors, potentially you, the audience, are who the RAs are working with and engaging with every single day of their term. So this requires full commitment from the mentor. So the RA program has some expectations. We expect mentors to create and provide a work plan. We want to make sure that there's a plan in place, a training guide to ensure that the completion of the program, the RA will meet the requirements in order to successfully be hired into a position. We want to ensure that RAs are being provided those high quality job trainings and experiences in the work and are really getting exposure to the agency and to different resource areas. We also strongly encourage the RA individual development plan. Here you can see a screenshot of a RA work plan and the IDP, which we do provide to all mentors as a guide, but you're more than welcome to create your own. This is just our way of trying to standardize engagement and making sure that all RAs are supported. But again, it's up to you as a mentor to create this document to make sure that you clearly define the goals and expectations that you have in the position. And keep in mind also that this is a workforce development program for the agency, but it's also a developmental program for the RA themselves. So we want to make sure that you're ready to promote them and support them professionally. And sometimes that even means supporting them personally. The majority of the participants in this program are emerging professionals. So we want to emphasize that we want to ensure that they have the support they need, especially if they have relocated. I should mention that I myself was an RA and I received great support from my own mentor as well as my host unit. That level of engagement allowed me to arrive at my present position. And Sylvia herself relocated straight out of college as an emerging professional. She also would echo the sentiment that her community of colleagues and supervisors helped her with her start with the agency. They made her want to stay and allowed her to be the successful program manager she is today. So we want to ensure that mentors are providing RAs with trainings and opportunities to connect and network with other Forest Service employees, making sure that RAs are meeting leadership and getting to know those faces that could potentially have an impact on their professional career and perhaps even personal life. We ask that you provide them the information and the guidance to get, for example, a government driver's license if they're going to be driving a government vehicle. Connect them with the fleet manager. Just make sure all the things they need are in place. Some RAs may even be interested in being red carded, so providing a connection with a fire management officer can present great opportunities for RAs. So these are just some examples of expanding an RA's scope of work that will allow them more exposure to the endless possibilities within the agency. One thing to note is that it is the mentor's responsibility to connect with the RSA liaison and your partner organization so that you also have support. Like, please don't think that you have to do this on your own. The Washington office is here to support you as a mentor, but your RSA liaison and partner organization are there as well. And last, the mentor is also responsible for requesting an extension. So if you see that your RA is already doing an amazing job and you want to extend them so that you can ensure that they're being hired, and you'll be responsible for requesting the extension through the Washington office so that when we make the modifications to the agreement, your RA would be included. Next slide, Sylvia. So yes, now we'll talk a little bit about how to hire the RA. So we created the RAP Connect portal, which is accessible to all RAs as well as Forest Service employees. So you as a Forest Service employee can create a profile and you'll be considered a hiring manager in the portal. The RAs will also have a profile that you're able to sort through and find a match for your open position opportunity. So if you're looking to hire or fill a position, we ask that you consider a resource assistant. They are, after all, being trained in a multitude of areas across the agency. They have the degrees and experience that you could be looking for. So If you visit the RAP Connect portal, you'll be able to create a profile as a hiring manager and filter through the RAs to find that fit. Once you find an RA, you're able to click through their profile and look at their resumes, look at some of their skill sets, their degrees, and learn more about them. And if you're interested, then you can hit connect. So this is your way as a hiring manager to connect with an RA to fill a position that you have in your unit, as well as for RAs to find you. And one of our most recent updates to the portal is that we created an option for you as a hiring manager to post your job. So you're able to make a post of your position, and RAs are able to filter through that to find the right fit. So it's really a two-way working street. I'll drop the portal link in the chat in a bit, but this is a great platform, and we just look forward to continue to enhance this portal and sharing more. There'll be some big updates to the portal as we go into the new calendar year, and we'll be ready to share that out next year. And we really hope to continue working on the RapConnect portal. Okay, so delving more into how to hire the RA, this is a how-to hiring guide that we provide mentors or anyone in the agency who's ready to hire an RA. It gives you the background information on the resource assistance program and the hiring authorities, as well as that step-by-step process and how to initiate SF52s and what goes into that process. We do have our own e-tracker request where you're able to go in. There are required documents to submit a request to hire an RA, and those are your classified position description, your approved org chart, the RAP Direct Hire Authority or DHA certificate, the resume, and their transcripts. So as you think about your positions, please consider creating a career ladder opportunity. For example, if you have a GS11, would it be possible to fill it as a GS7911? You can engage an RA and develop them into that position. So it's just an idea. And another note, RAP DHA certificates can be used for temp, term, and permanent positions. As Sylvia mentioned earlier, the other great thing about the certificate and hiring an RA is that it can be used multiple times. So if you have a temporary position or a term position that you can fill with an RA, you can allow them more experience and exposure, and they can then be hired into a permanent position by utilizing that certificate again. The last thing to note, however, is that while the DHA is a direct hire authority certificate, RAs still must meet the OPM requirements. So it's really up to us to make sure that they're successful in making sure that their resume has all the specialized skills, those buzz and keywords HR will need to qualify them. So if you will hire an RA, please set them up for success, provide them the PD that you'll use, and then make sure that their experience align with the requirements. Make sure they can reflect that experience in the resumes because that's really important. Please also ensure that your reviewer, your budget point of contact, and your leadership point of contact are all aware that you're submitting this. That's to prevent any delay in the hiring process. And now I'll turn it back over to Sylvia.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Vanessa, for sharing that information. So the last thing we want to do is share some RA experiences with you. So as you guys can see here on the screen, we have 5 boxes that have different excerpts from the RAs that they have shared with us. So we're just going to pause here and let you just kind of take a moment to read through a couple of these, and I'll read at least 2 of them out loud. My experience with the Resource Assistance Program has provided me with a life-altering position and unique opportunities. I have heavily sharpened my outdoor recreation management skills, forest service knowledge, and wilderness proficiency. The networking opportunities of RAP have been a great benefit. I find constant inspiration from the U.S. Forest Service employees I work with and continue to meet. By getting to know more and more people personally and professionally, either out in the field or even virtually, I feel more rooted to my career path. By hearing about how others found their way, I have gained a clear understanding of how to get where I want to go. As you can see, the Resource Assistance Program has been really great for a number of RA alums. Some have then transitioned into the agency, whether it was for a temp opportunity or a permanent position, and they are still with the Forest Service, and some have decided to go on another journey. And one of the most amazing experiences that I have been able to witness is to be able to see someone come in through the program and be an RA, then they're hired, and then they come back to engage in the program, but as a RAP mentor. So I'm always happy to see those because they're able to give back to the program that helped them to start their career. So really, really proud of our RAs, and we're happy to share those experiences. And we'll try to drop a link in the chat box so that you can read more of their experiences through one of our partners, which is going to be the Hispanic Access Foundation. So as we wrap up this presentation, we want to make sure that we share with you our email address, the websites that we use, so that you can ask any additional questions that you might have for us and just learn more about RAP and stay in the know of when we are receiving the request and when you can hire an RA. So just remember it as I leave you guys today, this RAP partnership really helps the Forest Service to increase our capacity, but also addressing that critical project work and promoting cultural transformation and workforce development. So again, you can learn more about the resources and program, our objectives, the benefits, the roles, responsibilities, as well as hear some success stories by visiting our websites here on the side. And we will drop some more resources in the chat box. But this will conclude our resource assistant program presentation. And at this time, we're going to stop presenting and take any questions that you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Come back on camera. Okay, so I know that there are some questions in the chat box, so we'll definitely try to start there. But if there's anyone that have any burning questions that you would like to ask out loud, please feel free to go ahead and use the hand raising function, and we will call on you and get your questions answered. And again, we will also take the questions from the chat box. Okay, looks like, hi, Coulter. Looks like we have our first question from Coulter. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi there. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for the presenters. Hey, you mentioned quickly about needing to use appropriated funds. I just wanted to refine that a little bit. Are we therefore not able to use FLRIA